Tonight we will learn about old secrets that Buddhist masters have kept for a long time. These stories help quiet the mind and find deep peace. Please feel free to share what time it is and where you are listening from. I will share a group of Zen stories that were almost forgotten. Each one shows an ancient key to feeling free and thinking clearly. Every story has a lesson that can change how you feel about stress and worry. These may look like simple stories, but they are very powerful. They come from wise people who understood a truth most of us have forgotten. Peace isn't found by changing the world around us, but by changing how we feel inside. The great Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Peace is present right here and now, in ourselves and in everything we do and see." The question is whether or not we notice it. As we hear these stories, you will feel a change. Worry will start to go away. The busy thoughts in your head will get quiet. You may feel yourself falling into a deep, peaceful rest. So, get comfortable now. Let your body sink into your bed or chair. Take one deep breath with me. As you breathe out, know that you are about to hear wisdom that has been waiting for you all along. Let us begin with a story about beauty and things that are not perfect. Outside a small, quiet monastery grew a very old pine tree. Its trunk was full of knots and twisted. Its branches grew in strange, crooked ways, and it did not give much shade. For years, the younger monks complained about it. "It is useless," said one. "We cannot get straight wood from it. It looks ugly." "It is a waste of good dirt," said another. "We should cut it down and plant straight, pretty trees that will be useful later." The old leader of the monks, who often sat near the tree, would just listen and smile. One day, a young monk who wanted to be important tried to convince the leader to remove the tree. He listed everything wrong with it, how ugly, useless, and crooked it was. "It has no purpose, master," the monk said. "It ruins our perfect garden." The leader told the young monk to sit beside him. He pointed to a spot under a twisted branch. "Do you see that hole where the trunk bends? That is where the field mouse hides from the hawk. Do you see this low, crooked branch? It is the only one the old cat can climb to sit in the sun. Do you see the thick bark? It is home to many bugs and moss." The leader touched the tree and said, "Because you think it is useless. Nobody has cut it down. The storm never broke its low branches because it isn't tall or stiff. It has been allowed to live its own long, peaceful life. It is a safe place for all the things that are not grand or straight. Its purpose is just to be here." Do not judge crooked things in the world or in yourself. Sometimes the best peace is found in places that are not straight. Buddha taught that three things cannot stay hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. The truth of the pine tree is something we need to remember today. This story shows us that being useful isn't the only way to be important. Why do we ignore things that aren't perfect? Today we are obsessed with being fast, perfect, and productive. This can be bad for us. It makes us judge ourselves for being different. Think about your daily life. How often do you get mad at yourself for not being more organized or successful? How often do you look at your own quirks as problems instead of gifts? The twisted pine is like the parts of ourselves we think are useless, like being sensitive, slow, or needing quiet time. Zen teaches a concept called wabi-sabi, which is finding beauty in things that are imperfect or old. A cracked bowl or weathered wood has a beauty that a perfect, factory-made item does not have. In Zen, we try to have a beginner's mind. This means looking at things as if for the first time, without judging them as good or bad. We start to see that even flaws have a purpose. An old teacher once told a story about a carpenter and a giant, knotty tree. The carpenter's student asked why they didn't use the wood. The carpenter said, "It's worthless. A boat made from it would sink. A chair made from it would break. That is why it is still standing here, big and old." Like the monastery pine, being useless kept the tree safe. This wisdom helps us see others differently too. We often ignore quiet or different people, but they provide shade and help for others in ways we don't see. The Zen teacher Suzuki Roshi said, "Each of you is perfect the way you are, and you can use a little improvement." This means we can grow without hating ourselves. Tonight, look at the parts of yourself you usually dislike, like overthinking or being very emotional. Can you see how they might help you? Maybe overthinking keeps you safe. Maybe being emotional helps you understand others. Buddha taught that if you truly loved yourself, you would never hurt yourself with an angry thought. The pine tree teaches us to love our own crooked branches. When we accept our flaws, we see they aren't mistakes, but a special kind of beauty. Our next story is about being patient. In a village famous for beautiful silk blankets, there lived a young woman. Her family made amazing pictures of dragons and mountains out of silk. But the daughter never worked on the big weaving machine. Instead, she sat in a corner with a giant, messy pile of tangled silk threads. It was a rainbow of knots and tangles. Day after day, she sat with the pile. She did not pull or force the threads. She would just hold them, breathe, and find one loose end. With lots of patience, she would follow that one thread, slowly pulling it out. Sometimes it took a whole day to free just one thread. She would then wrap it neatly on a small wooden stick. The people in town called her foolish. They said she was wasting her life on scraps and would never make anything great. Her family was sad, thinking she was wasting her talent. One day, a traveling Zen master stopped at the shop. He saw the weavers working fast, their faces looking stressed. Then he saw the daughter in her corner. She looked very peaceful as she slowly freed a single red thread. He watched her for an hour. He saw the mess of tangles and the neat piles she had made. He went to the girl, not the master weavers, and bowed to her. "I have seen many beautiful blankets," he said quietly. "But here I see someone fixing their own mind. Everyone else is rushing to make a picture for others to see. You are untangling the knots of life. You find peace in the work, not just the finish. Please teach me your art." Buddha once said, "Patience is not about waiting. It is about how you act while you are waiting." This story shows that the girl wasn't just fixing thread, she was training her mind to be calm and steady. Why is it so hard for us to be patient today? We want everything right now. We want to feel calm instantly and grow up overnight. Like the villagers, we think slow work is a waste of time. But Zen teaches that our minds are like that tangled silk. Our thoughts and feelings are all knotted together. If we pull and yank on them, the knots just get tighter. The weaver's daughter shows us mindful untangling. This means sitting with our messy thoughts without trying to fix them all at once. Imagine spending a whole day working on just one feeling of anger or worry. Most of us would rather do something that looks impressive to others. This helps with healing or changing bad habits. These things don't get better by using force. They need gentle, steady attention. Each small bit we untangle makes more room. Master Thich Nhat Hanh taught. The present moment is the only moment we have. The girl understood this. She wasn't worried about finishing the whole pile. She was happy just freeing one thread right now. This is also how we should help others. Instead of giving quick advice, we can just sit with them while they work through their problems. The Zen master saw that the girl had found peace by doing her work completely. Her calm came from how she worked, not from finishing. Teacher Charlotte Joko Beck said, "Practice is not about getting somewhere else. It is about being where you are. Think about the messy parts of your own life, like a hard friendship or a bad habit. What would happen if you acted like the weaver's daughter? What if you just looked for one small end to start with? Trust that slow, careful work is better than force." Buddha said, "A jug fills drop by drop. Our healing and growth happen in small moments." Tonight, if you feel overwhelmed, try to find just one thread or one breath to focus on. As Buddha taught, nothing hurts you as much as your own wild thoughts. But once you master them, nothing helps you more. Let's continue with a story about facing things that scare us. A young monk named Kenji was upset. He thought a ghost was following him. It was the sad spirit of a man Kenji had been mean to a long time ago. The ghost wasn't scary, but its sadness felt like a heavy weight. Kenji went to the head monk Jero. "Master!" Kenji cried. "I am haunted. Can you do a magic trick or a prayer to make the ghost go away?" Master Jiro looked at him calmly. "Fighting only makes a ghost stronger," he said. "From now on, you must take care of it. When you eat dinner, take 2 bowls, one for you and one for the ghost. Say, 'Here is your food. Please eat.' When you go to sleep, make 2 beds. Whatever you do, be a good host to your guest." Kenji was confused, but he was desperate, so he tried it. That night, he put a bowl of rice on a cushion. "Here is your share," he whispered. He felt very sad, but for the first time, he didn't run away from the sadness. He sat with it. He did this for a month. He gave the ghost tea and made its bed. He talked to it about the weather. Slowly, things changed. He didn't feel haunted anymore. He just felt like he was carrying a quiet sadness. The ghost wasn't an enemy, it was a friend. One night, Kenji stopped and asked the empty cushion a question. "What do you really need?" In his mind, he heard an answer that sounded like his own voice. I need to be forgiven. Kenji sat still while he cried. He bowed to the cushion and to himself. I forgive you, he whispered. I forgive myself. From that day on he only needed one bowl. The ghost was gone. As Buddha said, hatred does not stop with hatred, it only stops with love. The lesson is that what we fight stays with us, but what we treat with kindness changes. Kenji's ghost is like our own guilt, shame, or regrets. Why do we try to run away from our bad feelings? Our world tells us to win against our problems. We fight depression or battle bad thoughts. But Zen says we should make friends with what bothers us. This doesn't mean it's okay to do bad things. It means we should be kind to the parts of us that are hurting. If someone is anxious, they might try to force the worry away, which only makes it worse. Master Jiro's advice is, take care of your ghosts. This might mean sitting with your worry instead of watching TV to forget it. It might mean writing a letter to someone you hurt. The path to peace is through our problems, not around them. When Kenji stopped fighting and offered dinner, he changed the relationship. The ghost didn't want to be destroyed, it wanted to be heard. Our own dark parts often have messages for us. If we listen with patience, they show us how to heal. This takes courage. It is easier to be mean to ourselves than to be kind to our mistakes. Teacher Pema Chodron wrote, the most fundamental aggression to ourselves is to remain ignorant by not having the courage to look at ourselves honestly and gently. By treating his ghost like a guest, Kenji found healing. He realized the ghost was actually a part of himself. The forgiveness he gave the ghost was really for himself. Tonight, if you have sad or worried thoughts, try Master Jiro's plan. Instead of fighting them, imagine setting a place for them at your table. Listen to what they need. Buddha taught, if you want to know your past, look at your life now. If you want to know your future, look at what you do now. By being kind to your ghosts, today you change your future. Sometimes people who have been through the most sadness become the best healers because they learned how to be friends with their pain. Now, let's hear about the power of being gentle. A rich man asked the monastery to make a perfect stone for a garden. He wanted it to be as smooth as water and as perfect as the sky. The job went to an old monk named Ryokan, who used to be a stone carver. The rich man brought a huge, rough rock with sharp edges. The other monks expected to hear the loud noise of hammers and tools. But Ryokan did not use a hammer. He sat with the stone for a whole month, just looking at it and touching it. Then he began his work. He would dip his hand in water and gently rub a small part of the stone. He did this for hours in slow circles. There was no loud noise, just the sound of a hand on wet stone. He wasn't hitting it, he was polishing it with his own skin. His students got impatient. Master, this will take forever. Let us use tools to break off the big chunks. Ryokan shook his head. To hit the stone is to wound it, he said. Hitting leaves scars. Polishing is how you truly know the stone. I am not taking away what is wrong. I am showing the beauty that is already inside. He worked for over a year. Finally, it was finished. The stone was beautiful. It wasn't just smooth, it seemed to glow like moonlight. The rich man was amazed. How did you do this without tools? Ryokan held up his hand. His palm was just as smooth and tough as the stone. The world thinks peace is made by cutting away things we don't want, he said. But true peace is made by being gentle and patient. Buddha said, drop by drop is the water pot filled. The wise person becomes good little by little. This story shows that real change happens through being steady and gentle, not by force. Why do we like fast changes? We want to master skills or fix our feelings instantly. We use hammers on ourselves. We get mad when we aren't perfect right away. Ryokan's way was different. He spent time getting to know the stone first. This is important. Gentle pressure is often better than a big explosion. In Zen, this might mean meditating for 5 minutes every day, instead of trying to do 2 hours and then quitting. Ryokan said the stone changed his hand as much as his hand changed the stone. When we are gentle with our growth, we learn patience and humility. Teacher Dojin wrote, practice and peace are the same thing. Ryokan wasn't just working for a finish line. The rubbing was the peace. We often think small daily actions don't matter. But these small touches create changes that force cannot. The beauty that comes from patience has a special quality that quick fixes do not have. Think about where you are being too hard on yourself. Are you using a hammer to try and fix a habit? What would Ryokan's way look like there? True change isn't about fixing broken parts, but polishing away the dirt to see the light inside. The stone didn't just look smooth, it glowed. That light was always inside. When we are gentle with ourselves, we find that same light. Tonight, remember the sound of skin on stone. Trust that being kind to yourself can do more than being loud or forceful. Our final story is about finding wisdom in the dark. In a monastery, a single lamp was kept lit all night. A young boy named Toka had the job of taking care of it. Toka was a good worker, but he was very worried. He became obsessed with the shadows the lamp made. He thought a shadow of a post looked like a monster. He thought the shadow of a statue looked restless. He spent all night trying to fix them. He moved cushions to make shadows shorter. He changed the lamp wick, but that just made the shadows darker. He was exhausted from fighting these ghosts of light. One night, the old master found Toka on the floor, frantically moving a vase of flowers. "Toka," the master said, "your mind is very busy." "Master, the shadows!" Toka said, almost crying. "I can't make them perfect. They ruin the peace of the room." The master looked at the lamp. Then he walked over and blew it out. The room became completely dark and silent. Toka froze. "Toka," the master's voice came from the dark. "Where are the shadows now?" Toka was silent. There were no shapes or problems anymore. "They are gone, master." "Is it the light that makes shadows?" the master asked. "Or is it your mind that is stuck on them? Maybe peace is not about fixing the light, but learning to rest in the dark where there are no shadows at all." Old wisdom says, if you understand, things are just as they are. If you don't understand, things are still just as they are. This story shows it is a waste of time to try to make everything perfect. Toka's worry about shadows is like our modern stress. We try so hard to control everything, what people think, what will happen tomorrow, or how our house looks. We think if we fix just one more thing, we will finally be happy. Why do we try to control things we can't? Zen says we seek safety by trying to change the world. Instead, we should learn to be okay with whatever happens. We even use spiritual things to try and control our lives. Think about your life. Do you spend hours trying to write the perfect text so no one gets mad? Do you try to plan every second of your day? This is shadow management. It is exhausting. The master's answer, blowing out the lamp, shows that sometimes we should just stop trying to solve the problem. In the dark, the shadow, problems don't even exist. Deep acceptance makes our flaws lose their power. This doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we learn the difference between real problems and phantom problems we make up in our heads. Shadows aren't bad, they just happen when there is light. Uncertainty isn't bad, being scared of it is. Master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, because of change, everything is possible. The dancing shadows are just part of life. When we fight them, we suffer. When we dance with them, we are free. The master didn't give Toka a better way to move shadows. He took away the shadow-making conditions. Sometimes we need to step away from things that cause stress, like social media or the news. We can just sit in meditation without trying to have a perfect experience. A master once said, "What is this mind? It is the sound of the rain and the wind." In the dark, Toka could finally hear the natural silence. Peace is not the absence of shadows, it is the absence of fighting the shadows. When we stop trying to make everything perfect, we find a deep calm that doesn't depend on things being just right. This is the peace of the dark. It is the peace of letting go. Tonight, if your mind is trying to fix things you can't fix, remember Toka. Can you blow out the flame of needing to control everything? What does it feel like to just rest? Buddha taught, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stop searching and just rest in the dark, where the shadows of worry finally disappear. Now, let's hear about the difference between just knowing facts and having real wisdom. This is the story of following the stream. In a giant forest, two city people got completely lost. They had gone for a walk but got overconfident and lost the trail. For a day and night, they wandered. Every tree looked the same. They were starting to panic when they found an old man sitting in a clearing. He looked very calm. "How do we get back home?" they asked, sounding very scared. The old man looked at them. "I could tell you," he said, "but you would still get lost." The men were confused. "What should we do?" they asked. "Go with the flow." The man said simply. "What do you mean?" one asked. The man pointed to a small stream. "Follow it. Small streams lead to bigger ones, and big ones lead to rivers, and rivers lead to towns. Also, you will have water to drink and berries to eat along the way." This was very practical advice. But one man, who had read about Zen, asked, Is that what Zen people mean when they say go with the flow? The man paused. Yes and no, he said, and then he walked away. Buddha said, if you understand, things are just as they are. This story shows that real wisdom works on many levels. On the outside, following a stream is just a good way to survive. On the inside, it's a way to live life. Why did the man say they would still get lost if he gave them directions? This is because following a map isn't the same as knowing the forest. Real wisdom is learning to see the signs yourself. Think about your own life. We often ask for a map. We want someone to tell us exactly how to be happy or how to meditate perfectly. But maps don't teach you how to handle the territory of your own feelings. True wisdom helps you find your own answers. Like a stream that knows how to find the ocean, we have wisdom inside us. Going with the flow doesn't mean being lazy. It means working with life instead of pushing against it. When we align with the natural way of things, life becomes easier. The travelers wanted a step-by-step plan. But real intelligence is more like a feeling. It's knowing the right move moment by moment. This is why we practice being mindful. The stream doesn't need to see the ocean to know which way to flow right now. Tonight, can you feel the natural wisdom inside you? What would it be like to trust that feeling while still being responsible? Buddha taught that one candle can light thousands more without losing its own light. The man's advice was a light for the travelers' minds. Let's hear a story about things that don't last. A long time ago, a wise teacher arrived at a capital city with a giant, beautiful palace. The palace was made of marble and jewels. It was the home of a very powerful king. The teacher walked right into the palace. He walked to the throne room where the king was sitting. The king looked at the man in simple clothes. What do you want? The king asked. The teacher bowed. Your Majesty, I would like a place to sleep in this inn. Everyone was shocked. The king got confused and a little mad. This is not an inn! This is my palace! I am the king! The teacher asked, who owned this palace before you? My father, the king said. He ruled for 30 years. And who owned it before him? My grandfather. He is also dead. The teacher went quiet for a moment. Then he said, so this is a place where people live for a short time and then move on. And you say it is not an inn. The room was silent. The king realized that his permanent palace was really just a temporary stop. Buddha taught that everything changes and nothing stays the same forever. Why do we get so attached to things? Zen says we suffer because we want things to last, but they can't. Everything we own, our house, our job, even our bodies, is just something we are using for a little while. Think about your life. The house you live in or the titles you have are temporary. You are a guest in the on of life. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care for things, but you should hold them lightly. When we forget that things change, we get anxious trying to keep them the same. The executive will retire. The student will graduate. These aren't failures. They are natural changes. Master Thich Nhat Hanh said that because of change, everything is possible. Bad times can turn into good times. In Zen, we try not to grasp at things. We love them, but we know we can't keep them forever. The teacher showed the king that we don't really own anything. We are just borrowing them for a short stay. Tonight, as you sit in your home, can you feel the freedom of knowing it's temporary? It makes you appreciate things more, not less. Buddha said to use your temporary time to be kind and wise. Each moment is precious because it won't happen again. Now, let's hear about the truth behind words. A famous Zen master had one main teaching. Buddha is your own mind. He told his students to stop looking outside for answers and look inside. One young monk loved this so much he moved to a cave. He stayed there for 20 years, thinking about how his own mind was the Buddha. He felt very sure about this truth. One day, another monk passed by. They started talking. The hermit asked, "What is our master's greatest teaching now?" The visitor said, "He is very clear about it. His main teaching is Buddha is not your own mind." The hermit was shocked. He had spent 20 years believing the opposite. Buddha taught that a finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. This means that words about the truth are not the truth itself. They are just tools. Why do we cling to one right answer? Zen says that teachings are like medicine. You use the one you need at the time. For someone looking for a God far away, Buddha is your mind, helps them look inside. For someone who thinks they are already perfect and doesn't need to try, Buddha is not your mind, helps them stay humble. Both are right, because they help different people at different times. Think about your own beliefs. Do you get mad if someone disagrees with you? The hermit's mistake was holding on too tight to a concept. Zen tells us to hold all teachings lightly. Once you are cured, you don't need the medicine anymore. A wise person lets go of what they think and looks at what is actually happening. Truth isn't a sentence you can write down. It's an experience. Don't believe things just because you heard them. See if they actually help you be a better person. Look at your own truths. Are they helping you, or have they become a wall? Tonight, remember the hermit's surprise. Can you hold your ideas lightly? The moon is still there even if the finger pointing at it changes. Let's hear a story about the natural way things change. A young student had been meditating for months. At first it was great, but lately it was terrible. He was distracted, his legs hurt, and his mind was noisy. He went to his teacher, who was working in a garden. "Teacher," the student said, "my meditation is horrible. I can't focus and my body hurts. Everything is wrong." The teacher looked up and said 3 simple words: "It will pass." Then he went back to work. The student was annoyed by the short answer, but he kept practicing. A week later, things were great again. He felt peaceful and happy. He ran back to the teacher. "Master, my meditation is wonderful. I feel so alive and clear." The teacher looked at him and said the exact same thing. "It will pass." This time, the student understood. He realized that both the bad feelings and the good feelings were temporary. Buddha said, "This too shall pass." Why do we struggle so much with change? We want to keep the good feelings and run away from the bad ones. This makes us tired. The student's teacher showed that there is a quiet peace under all the changes. Think about your daily life. How much energy do you spend trying to stay in a good mood? Grasping for good and pushing away bad both cause stress. Zen teaches us to be steady no matter what happens. "It will pass" is a comfort when you are sad, but it is also a reminder when you are happy. It keeps you from getting too full of yourself when you succeed. Master Suzuki Roshi said we can grow while still being perfect, just as we are. Look at where you are, grasping at things. Are you trying to make a happy moment last forever? Or are you fighting a bad situation that will eventually end on its own? Buddha taught that all things change, so we should be diligent and kind. This helps us handle both success and failure. We can care about our work and friends without being destroyed when things change. Tonight, whatever you are feeling, remember the teacher's words. It will all pass. Rest in the awareness that stays the same while feelings come and go. Now, let's learn about what we truly are. A student named Goshu asked his teacher, "I have tried so hard for years, but I don't feel enlightened. What am I missing?" The master said, "It's just a matter of freedom from birth and death." Goshu was confused. "That sounds too hard. I can't even quiet my mind. How can I transcend life and death?" The master shouted, "Every thought you have is birth and death." Goshu suddenly understood. He realized that enlightenment wasn't a future prize. It was happening right now. Thoughts pop up and then they go away. This flow is just life. He felt a giant weight fall off his shoulders. He didn't have to become something special. He just had to notice the awareness he already had. Buddha said that emptiness and form are the same thing. We suffer because we think we are the thoughts, instead of the awareness, watching the thoughts. Every feeling starts and ends. If we think we are the feelings, we get worried when they change. But if we are the space the feelings are in, we are always okay. Zen says your everyday mind is the way. The same awareness that sees you are worried also sees you are calm. It doesn't change. Buddha said that people make up categories in their heads and then get stuck in them. Think about how much work you do to have better thoughts. But you are the one watching the thoughts. You don't need to fix the contents of your mind to be free. Tonight, notice your thoughts coming and going. You are not the thoughts, you are the one watching them. As Buddha said, everything changes, so keep practicing. You are already what you are looking for. Here is a story about what we believe. A poor man was walking through a forest, feeling very worried about his bills and his life. He sat down under a big, comfortable tree. He was very thirsty and said, "I wish I had some water." Suddenly, a cup of cold water appeared in his hand. He drank it and was amazed. Then he wished for food, and a delicious meal appeared. He realized he was under a wishing tree. He wished for a big house, and it appeared in a meadow. He wished for servants to help him, and they appeared. He wished for a kind, smart wife, and she appeared and took his hand. But then he started to doubt. He said, "This is impossible. I'm not this lucky. This can't be real. As soon as he said that, everything disappeared, the wife, the house, the food. He was alone under the tree again with all his old problems. He shook his head and said, "I knew it," and walked away sad. Buddha said, "We are what we think. With our thoughts, we make the world." This story shows how our doubts can stop good things from happening. Why do we trust our problems more than our possibilities? We get so used to struggling that we feel weird when things are easy. Have you ever had something good happen and then thought, "This is too good to be true"? This doubt can actually push the good things away. The wishing tree is like the world. When we are open and trustful, we see opportunities. When we are cynical, those opportunities seem to vanish. The man under the tree was worthy of good things, but his brain told him he wasn't. Suzuki Roshi said we are all perfect, but can still improve. The man couldn't believe he was perfect, enough for a good life. We do this too. We might ignore a nice co-worker or a new job because we think we aren't good enough. Buddha said to find your own light, but don't let doubt be a wall. Real doubt asks questions to find the truth. Bad doubt just assumes the worst. Tonight, think about your day. Did you push away a compliment or a happy moment because it felt too good? Trust that you are worthy. Happiness doesn't run out when you share it, and that magic of life doesn't run out when you accept it. Let's hear about finding truth where you are. A master sculptor spent his whole life looking for the perfect block of marble to carve a statue of the Buddha. He traveled all over the world but couldn't find the right stone. He went to a Zen priest and said, "I have searched for 40 years, and I am still not done. Where is the perfect stone?" The priest pointed to a water well in the courtyard. The sculptor ran to the well and looked in. He didn't see a stone, he saw his own face in the water. Buddha said, "If you can't find the truth where you are, where do you think you will find it?" This means what we are looking for is already inside us. Why do we look everywhere else? We think we will be happy when we get a new car or a new job. But we are looking for the Buddha in the wrong place. Zen says your everyday mind is the way. The sculptor didn't need a special stone. He needed to see that his own awareness was the material for awakening. The well is like the quiet spot in your own mind. When you stop searching out there, you see what is in here. Tonight, look at your own seeking mind. Can you see that your ability to wonder and think is already a sign of your Buddha nature? You are the artist and the art at the same time. Now, let's learn why trying too hard can be a problem. A young man wanted to find Zen. He went to a master and said, "If I work harder than anyone else, how long will it take to be enlightened?" The master said, 10 years. The man said, "What if I work twice as hard? I'll stay up all night and meditate for hours." The master said, 20 years. The man was shocked. "What if I dedicate every single second to it and never rest?" The master said, 30 years. The man was very confused. "In everything else, working harder makes it go faster. Why does it take longer here?" The master said, "When you have one eye on the goal, you only have one eye on the path." Buddha taught that a long journey starts with one step. This story shows that being obsessed with the finish line stops you from actually learning. Why? Because Zen is about being in the now. If you are only thinking about the future, you aren't in the now. Think about learning an instrument. If you only worry about being a star, you won't focus on the notes you are playing right now. Zen isn't a trophy, it's a way of living. When we try to get enlightenment, we treat it like a business deal. This is gaining mind, and it actually gets in the way. Buddha said what you are looking for is what you are looking from. The awareness you use to look for Zen is Zen. Look at your life. Do your best ideas come when you are trying super hard, or when you are just walking or washing dishes? Usually, they come when you relax. Just sitting means meditating without a goal. It doesn't mean being lazy, it means being 100% there. Tonight, try to keep both eyes on the path. Don't worry about where you are going. The path is the goal. Two masters were talking. One asked, "What is the way?" The teacher said, "Ordinary mind is the way." The student asked, "Should I try to get it?" The teacher said, "If you try to get it, you are moving away from it." The student asked, "Then how do I know it's the way?" The teacher said, "It's not about knowing or not knowing. Knowing is just an idea. Not knowing is just being blank. If you truly see it, it is like the big, empty sky. Everything is already inside it." The student suddenly understood. Buddha said everything is already here. This means the awareness you have right now, reading this, hearing sounds, is what we call enlightenment. Why is it so hard to believe? We think truth must be magic or special. But it's just your natural awareness. When we try to reach a special state, we create a wall. Think about your mind right now. You hear sounds and feel things without even trying. That is ordinary mind. It is always there, whether you are happy or sad. Like the sky. It doesn't change when clouds come. This makes everything sacred. Washing dishes or hearing the rain is just as important as sitting in a temple. The way isn't a destination. It's the ground you are standing on. A man climbed a giant mountain to find a famous wise man. He was sure the wise man would look special and have amazing answers. When he got to the top, an ordinary-looking servant answered the door. The servant showed the man through the house. The visitor was looking for magic things but saw only a normal house. They walked out the back door. The visitor was mad. "I didn't come here to see a normal house! I want the wise man!" The servant smiled. "You have already seen him. And here is the lesson. Treat everyone you meet as if they are a wise, holy person. If you do this, your problems will be solved. Buddha said your actions today make your future. We often look for wisdom in famous people but ignore it in others." The visitor was so busy looking for his idea of a wise man that he missed the real one. Think about the people you see every day. The clerk at the store or the person who cleans the floors. They all have wisdom to share if you are ready to listen. This teaching changes how you live. Instead of being judgmental, you become curious. Treating everyone as holy helps you forget your own ego. Every person can light a candle for you. Tonight, think about your relationships. Where have you ignored someone because they seemed ordinary? Try to see the sacred in everyone tomorrow. You might find that your next teacher is standing right in front of you. For 55 years, a monk named Ichi worked in a monastery kitchen. He chopped vegetables and made soup. He also tried to solve a Zen puzzle. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Ichi felt like a failure because he couldn't solve it. He saw younger monks get enlightened while he was still just making soup. As he got old and lay in bed, he finally stopped trying. He let go of the need to be enlightened. In that quiet moment, when he stopped searching, he finally heard the silence of one hand clapping. It was the sound of life itself, which had been there all along. Buddha said to stop holding on to opinions to find truth. Enlightenment isn't a prize, it's what happens when you stop trying so hard. Why do we struggle? Because we think we are missing something. Ichi's mistake was making a simple thing complex. The sound of one hand is just the quiet space before you start thinking. Tonight, remember Ichi. What if the awareness you have right now is the goal? A blind man was walking home at night. His friend gave him a lantern. "I can't see," the blind man said. "The light doesn't help me." "It's not for you," the friend said. "It's so other people see you and don't bump into you." The man walked home with the lantern. Suddenly, someone crashed into him. "Hey," the blind man yelled. "Can't you see my lantern?" The other man laughed. "My friend, your candle went out a long time ago." Buddha said many candles can be lit from one. This story shows the difference between talking about wisdom and having it. We often read books and use big words, but the candle of real experience isn't lit inside us. We assume that because we have spiritual things, we are enlightened. But if we don't actually practice being kind and calm, the lantern is empty. True wisdom is tested when things go wrong, like when someone bumps into us. Zen says knowing about an apple isn't the same as tasting one. The blind man meant well, but his candle was out. This isn't a failure, it's a sign to relight the candle by being present and kind again. Tonight, ask yourself, are you using wise words but not acting on them? It's okay if your candle goes out. The practice is noticing it and lighting it again with a fresh breath. A rich man asked a Zen master to write a blessing for his family to stay rich and happy forever. The master wrote, "Father dies, son dies, grandson dies." The rich man was furious. "That's a curse!" "Why did you write about death?" The master said, "Think about it. If your son died before you, that would be a tragedy. If your grandson died before your son, that would be terrible. But if everyone dies in the natural order, that is a life fully lived. That is the greatest prosperity." Buddha said change is sacred. True peace comes from accepting how life works, not from having lots of money. We suffer because we fight the fact that things end. The master's blessing was about natural order. A family that accepts life and death is more prosperous than a rich one that is always scared of loss. Real success is living fully in the time we have. Tonight, think about your loved ones. We can't control the future, but we can accept life's natural rhythms. This brings more peace than any bank account. A traveling monk came to a monastery. To stay the night, he had to have a debate with a monk. The abbot sent his servant, who only had one eye. They decided to have a silent debate using only hand gestures. The traveler held up one finger. The servant held up two. The traveler held up three. The servant made a fist. The traveler bowed and left. The traveler told the abbot, "Your monk is too smart for me." I held up one finger for Buddha. He held up two for Buddha and his teachings. I held up three for the whole community. He made a fist to show they are all one. He is a master. Then the servant came in, very mad. "Where is that guy? He was so rude." First, he held up one finger to tease me for having one eye. I was nice and held up two fingers to say he's lucky to have two eyes. Then he held up three fingers to say there are only three eyes between us. I was going to punch him, but he ran away. Buddha taught that we see the world as we are, not as it is. Both monks saw the same fingers, but thought they meant different things based on their own feelings. Why do we misinterpret things? We project our own worries or hopes onto others. The servant was sensitive about his eye, so he saw an insult. The traveler was thinking about Zen, so he saw a lesson. Think about your day. Did you get mad at someone because you thought they were being mean? Maybe they were just having a bad day. We should try to have a don't know mind, and not assume we know what people are thinking. A student asked his master, "When you were young, did you want people to be proud of you?" The master said, "Yes, I wanted them to love me. I thought if I was successful, they would accept me more." "And why did you want that?" "Because if they loved me, I could finally love myself. I was looking for their permission to feel okay." What changed? I realized I could just love myself right now, without needing anyone's permission. Self-love isn't a prize you earn. It's your natural right. The student asked, "Do you still care what people think?" The master laughed. "My ego still wants to be liked. But now it's just like the weather. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's rainy. I notice it, but it doesn't change who I am." Buddha taught that you deserve your own love as much as anyone else in the universe. We often treat ourselves worse than we treat our friends. True freedom is knowing you are worthy just because you exist. Tonight, can you be kind to yourself? You don't need a trophy or a compliment to be good. You are the awareness behind all your thoughts, and that awareness is already perfect. Thank you for joining me. As you fall asleep, let these stories stay with you. You don't need to work on them. They will work on you while you rest. The peace you found tonight was always inside you. Sleep well, and remember that you are exactly where you need to be. Would you like me to create an image of thee, or to help you visualize these stories?